Let's see how you did. Are we going to be taking outside piece times whole thing on this? How can you take outside piece when they don't even hit outside? All right, you could just make it up, I guess, if you wanted to, but that's probably a bad idea. They are hitting each inside, and so what we have to do is take just small times small. Are we going to use whole thing on this particular example? No. So let's do the red one. One of the little pieces is 7. The other little piece is 9. So that takes care of the red. So the blue, one of the little pieces happens to be 4. The other little piece happens to be x. Are we going to need quadratic formula on this one? No, there's no x squared that I need to do that with. So what do we got here? 63 equals 4x divided by 4. As informed earlier, these are not guaranteed to come out nice. Right? And again, I think I might just show you this one in case by some tragedy you do forget a calculator for this test. So does 4 go into 6? Yes, it does. One time without going over. So you subtract 2. What do you do now? Bring down the 3. Does 4 go into 23 evenly? No. Well, let's get as close as we can. How many times without going over? 5, right? Gives you 20. You subtract, meaning the remainder is 3. But 3 is still trying to be divided by what number? 4. So you could say 15 3/4, but I do believe the directions say to round to the nearest tenth on these problems. And so it would be 15.8 if you had to round to the nearest tenth. Obviously it is 15.75 exact, or 15.8 if you have to round like the directions say. Okay, so any questions on that? We've done an outside one now and an inside one. No? All right, let's take a look at another one. These hit outside, so let's do the green one first. For the green one, what do you think? Should I take 13 times 12? No. Should I use the 13? Yes, that's the outside portion is 13. What do I multiply it by? Why 25? It's the whole thing. And I wrote 24 for some reason. Times 25, as I've been told. How about the red one? Is it 9 times x? Do I use the 9? Yeah, it's the outside portion of the segment, so 9 times 9 plus x, or x plus 9, either way, yep, because it is commutative, because x plus 9 would be the whole thing. In a quick glance, do you believe we will be using quadratic on this one? In a quick glance, will I get an x squared at any point? No, so that's all right, nothing to be worried about. But 13 times 25 does get a little bit bigger. I could always show you how to multiply if you would like, if you need a review on that. What do you get? 325, all right, equals, well, we got to distribute, so 9x plus what? Very good, 81. Okay. So subtract 81 is kind of how you've been trained, and it's probably a really good choice on this one. So 5 minus 1 over here is 4. Oh, got to borrow. Again, in case you forget your calculator, you might want to remember borrowing. So now you take 12 minus 8 is? Not a trick question. 4, thank you. Equals 9x. At a quick glance, is this going to divide perfectly? No, it's really close though, right? If it was 45, this would be perfect. So you divide by 9. What's that? Oh yeah, 244. Good job. 244 divided by 9. Is that going to divide evenly? No. Do you need to see the division again? Would you like that? No? All right. So x is... Okay, now looking at that, does that make sense? You said what, 27.1? If we round to the nearest tenth? I'd say that would make sense. Could you check that? Yeah, you could put it back in and make sure it works. Okay. I do believe it'd be 0.1 repeating, correct? If you had to go that, or if they said exact, it'd be 27 1/9. Okay. All right, I was somewhat hurrying to get to this one. They are not color-coded, so we will do the one with the 6 first. The outside portion of the 6 is 6. The whole thing is 6. Equals, we'll call this other one green, even though it's not. It is now. Outside piece, x. Whole thing is unfortunately x plus 5. You will understand why I said unfortunately very soon. Six times 6, that's not a problem, right? That is 36 equals x times x is x squared. X times 5 is 5x. Can we do what we did earlier when we had x squared equals 100? Just take the square root of each side like we did earlier? Unfortunately, no. If that 5x wasn't sitting there, yes, we could. We could just take the square root of both sides. But it is unfortunately there. This is quadratic, and there is no way around necessarily using quadratic formula. Some of you have other strategies, but there's no way around it on this one for the rest of us. And if we are going to use quadratic formula, it is supposed to equal what? 0. Does this equal 0? No, but it's very easily fixed. Subtract 36 from both sides, and then it will equal 0. So quadratic is the opposite of b plus or minus the square root. B squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. So in this problem, I'll write a, b, and c up here just so I have enough room to finish. What is a in this setup? 1. B is 5. C is negative 36. Here we go. X equals. It says to take the opposite of b. Well, b is 5. Excuse me, b is 5. So the opposite of that is negative 5. Take b and square it. That's 5 squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2a. Any questions on finding a, b, and c, or the substitution that I just did? Okay. For those of you that have the other skills, key number factoring would work on this particular problem. It will not work on all of them. So here we go. Negative 5 plus or minus. 5 squared is 25. Again, here's how I do it. I take that negative and I write it down, and then I just do that portion of it, which happens to be a relatively popular number today, 144. But it's a negative 144 because it's a positive times a negative. All divided by 2 times 1 is 2. Any questions how I've made any of those changes? Again, is the way that I do the 4AC the only way that can be done? No. Work with the way that you do right. Because now this means add the opposite. Correct? So x equals negative 5 plus or minus the square root of a relatively nice number on this problem. 169 divided by 2. Why did I say a relatively nice number? Because 169 is called a perfect square. It is 13. So we're going to take our work over to here. So x equals negative 5 plus 13 divided by 2. And x will also equal negative 5 minus 13 divided by 2. Again, the reason I know that is the square root of 169 actually is 13. So how about the top one here? X equals, let's see, a negative 5 plus 13 is what, 8? Divided by 2 is 4. Do you think 4 back in that problem makes sense? Yeah, so I think we can circle that one. We've got negative 5 minus 13 is a negative 18. Divided by 2 is a negative 9. Does that make sense back in the problem? Now, again, is it possible a negative could make sense back in the problem, though? It actually can happen. Does this one? No. So the only answer to this problem is 4. Now, obviously, the ones that I've given you, some of the answers have not been very nice. Some have been, which is why sometimes guess and checks might not be your best choice. Okay?